I hear people say this often. It's like, I feel overwhelmed. And my first question is going to be, overwhelmed compared to what? There's no such thing as overwhelmed. It's really something that you're creating inside of yourself with the lights off, right? God promised us He won't give us more than we can handle. Humans do not receive more than they can handle. That's a principle. You're not going to have an elite athlete that's lazy. Like, that doesn't happen. What about DNA? What genetics? What about discipline? What about goals? What about support system? What about nutrition? So it's like, you have all these things. It's like, okay, but if I were to define a single characteristic that's the most important, I would say all those are crucial, but the one that's the most crucial would be bouncing back faster from a negative situation or a mistake.
So would you call that resilience?
Resilience mixed with a belief that you're better than you are.
Jeremiah Webb, MBA, is a transformational leader and business growth strategist with nearly 30 years of experience.
Through Shop on Fire, he helps HVAC and service businesses achieve profit mastery, operational control, and scalable growth.
Jeremiah, welcome to the Sideshed podcast.
Hey, Matt, thanks a lot. I'm excited to be here. Read a lot of good stuff about the podcast. Had some really quality people refer it as well. So appreciate it. Even though we got totally different time frames, we can definitely come together and make it happen.
Yeah, well, it's kind of timely. It's a couple of days before New Year's, and this will be the last recordings that I'll be doing for the year for sure. But I know some of the topics we're going to be talking about today are very relevant. And yeah, this podcast has been around now since 2016, coming up 10 years, and we've had guests from all over the world. And one of our biggest audiences is over your way in the North American market. So it's always great having experts like you come on and share your wisdom. So thank you for sharing your time with us. I know it's actually getting late over there in Florida, but I appreciate the fact that you're a bit of a night owl.
Yeah. For some reason, a night owl and an early bird all at once, but yeah, absolutely. It's and we'll hold down the fort over here for you guys,
So, before we dive on in, do you want to give us a bit of a rundown just as to your background and what you do and, a bit of your story?
Yeah, sure. So mine's really pretty interesting, right? Because we hit on all 5 aspects. So my family had a heating and cooling company, right? That we built up and sold to private equity. So being involved in that is really unique. Another thing is that I worked at the manufacturer level. So I was a senior director in Train and oversaw warranty and all order management for the entire USA for residential, like commercial. I was Train and American Standard. So we got like a team of 6 running like $1 billion in sales, right? That we're looking over and managing. And then warranty, the dealers don't take care of it. We're taking the calls. So being on those 2 ends was interesting. Being in the private equity realm as well, working for Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley, I also went overseas in Asia. So that's a third piece. It's like, whoa, all 3 of these. Then being in a dealer directly, overseeing customer experience. So they were like a $200 million shop. And I was responsible for customer experience. So all the touch points of customers and oversaw that. And so kind of blending all those together, it's like, I understand private equity, I understand the manufacturer and how to get the best deals, right? And what concessions they can make for dealers. Being in the dealer and then having the family business as well is really, truly a unique perspective. Aside of that, I played 5 sports in high school, 2 in college, 2 after. So I'm an elite athlete. Super involved in community special needs. We do gift baskets for single mothers on Mother's Day. We started doing that in one state and have expanded it. And then I have a program for kids that's called Junior Step Away CEO. We've had over 2,000 kids go through there where we're teaching them, 4 and 6 year olds. Yeah, they could be part of that to an extent, like your kids or whatever. But it's like, so that's the background really, is just super involved, super engaged, multifaceted levels of experience in this industry, which put me at probably 1% of the people can probably say they have all those pieces, right? So it's like, it's not the end all be all, but it's certainly very powerful as far as perspective.
So you're coming along today, or we're doing 2 episodes. The first episode, we're going to be talking about how to reignite some of the fire and the passion within your business if you feel like you've kind of got a little bit stale. I think that's a pretty solid message coming into a new year, with a lot of people that are like, oh, here we go again, Groundhog Day. So
Right.
super relevant. And then following on from that, we're going to talk a little bit about, I suppose, once we have some of those foundations established that we might discuss in this episode, we're going to be talking more about, okay, well, what are the things we need to do now to scale this and turn this, into an actual, business with decent returns and so on and so forth. My question for you is, were these two topics something that you see super relevant within, the programs and, businesses that you work within?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the two topics are really about how to get on fire, which is how we would coin it at, Shop on Fire, how to get on fire and how to stay on fire. Because getting on fire is one thing, but staying on fire, where it starts to morph from, success is scientific. Okay. I do this, make this amount of calls, do this amount of outbound calls, this amount of this, whatever, close, sales, whatever. And now it's like this amount of customer contacts, I'm going to have this amount of business, right? So that's a scientific thing, but fulfillment is an art. Because we had a neighbor, I was probably 13 or 14 years old, maybe 15. And we had a neighbor, we were in a really, really, really high-end neighborhood, right? And a guy moved in and bought 12 acres, and he had a fence flown in from Paul Revere's graveyard and all that stuff. And he's had the mansion and like all this stuff. And I watched this guy go from like pretty successful to extremely successful. So he and his partner built this accounting software that worked with businesses and insurance companies. And they found like employees were to call your insurance company, you had to call during employee hours. So it's like, that's no good, And it's like, okay, we'll take the calls at night. We'll handle it all. Then we'll communicate with the medical facilities and insurance and stuff and put it all together in a nice package. Long story short, they sold to ADP for like $250 million.
Wow.
And so overnight, he and his partner were worth like, was it 80 or 90 plus stock, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, 125 million each. So it's like, what do you do? And I watched this guy go to every beach. It's like, how many beaches, how many cocktails? Like, what can you do until it's like, all right, what else is there to do, bro? Because it's like, okay, well, I can, there's this Russian MiG, so I can go pay money and fly on a Russian fighter jet. It's like, there's only so many things you can do. And then Matt, you're like, yeah. What else is there? So it's like, fulfillment has to be more than just success, and it has to be more than scientific. It's actually artful. It's an art where you learn to design with intention. And we would kind of run that with, is it good for me? Is it good for others? Does it serve the greater good? So as we kind of tie all those in, we start to drive and create experiences, and you start to realize fulfillment is not default. You can't do fulfillment by default. It's like, and by the way, who wants to see default? Like if you go to, I mentioned fighter jets. So if we go see the Blue Angels here in Florida, it's blue and yellow fighter jets, like doing all this crazy stunts and stuff in the air.
Like the Red Bull things,
Yeah. It's like when you go to see fighter jets, Matt, do you want to see autopilot? Do you want to see them flying on autopilot or manual?
Right.
It's like, dude, manual, grab that, do all that stuff, roll, barrel, flip, all whatever stuff you do. Yeah. And some of them can go like this and like pause in the air and then and just like shoot. It's like, wow. So we also learn that we want to fly manual because as you get to fulfillment, successful is building systems. And it's like so much stuff is systematized and regulated. That will get you success and that will keep success, but it does not get long-term lasting fulfillment. That has to be outside, that's manually created. And by the way, I'll just say this for all the viewers, there's nothing more fulfilling than an intimate relationship. It's 50,000 times more fulfilling than anything, biggest deal, biggest sell, biggest car, whatever. And so it's like, well, I mean, I have, my partner and they support me. It's just like, yeah, but you're never there. You're building your empire, and it's like, and that's a tricky thing. Cause it's you're always at the office. Like, well, at the office, I feel like a god and I'm treated like a god. Why would I go home where she's like, you didn't take out the trash. You didn't do this. And it's like, I don't want to do that. And so even subconsciously, where it's light on, subconscious is the lights on, right? No, conscious is lights on, subconscious is the lights are off. So it's the stuff happening in the dark when the lights aren't. So it's like, you're like, well, how come I'm always in meetings? Well, I need to, I got to build my empire. It's like, yeah, but your kids don't see you that much. Your spouse doesn't see you. It's like, we need to rethink this a little bit. And I see that. We even have people that are getting divorced after all the kids are gone, all that stuff. And so I just mentioned that because it's all part of fulfillment. So for that first piece you talked about, going into the new year, right, is going to really be about like the things we work. And by the way, we work with.
Quick pause for a second. If this episode's hitting home for you, do us a favor. Please give it a follow on this app. And if possible, please share it with someone that you think would also benefit. This podcast was brought to you by tradiewebguys, where day in, day out, we work with tradies and contractors that are looking for predictable, manageable systems to close more jobs and scale with consistency. It's a proven system that's focused on closing more jobs, not just generating more leads. We have loads of case studies and reviews on the website to back this up if you want to go check it out. If you like the sound of predictable, manageable, and consistent growth, click on the link in the description or head to tradiewebguys.com.au and start the conversation. All right, back to it.
The manufacturers, the distributors, and the dealers, but not just HVAC, it's plumbing, heat pump, compressed air, like we do the whole gamut. And we're working with, we could talk with people that take in calls, people that are technicians, we could talk with all that, but then it's like the leaders of them, because if my performers start cranking it, I got to get my coach or leader up or else they're going to bail. Mm-hmm. Right. And then we also work with the owners because the owners' biggest challenges are like, well, how great's your marriage? Oh, it's good. Yeah, I have a good marriage. It's like, good sucks. Right, Matt? It's like, how was that? How were those waves? And went surfing. It's like, yeah, they were good. How was the wedding? It was good. How was the movie? Yeah, it was good. Good sucks. Right. Because didn't the standard change? It's like, good sucks. Great is good. Outstanding is great. Like it kind of shifted.
Yeah.
So also being aware of that. And then the last piece I want to touch on with staying motivated is because it's like, how do I get on fire? Right. And it's like, because you're going to hear this. Everyone's going to, if you dig into self-help enough, you're going to hear something. Success people do what unsuccessful people don't. Yeah. And it's like, but do they also do it and learn to love it and even get passionate about it? When you're building your business, most people don't want to cold call. It's like, that sucks. I want to do that. But, if I go into insurance business, I'm building an insurance business. I got to cold call, cold knock, cold visit, cold network. I got to do all that stuff, right? You were going to say something or ask something, it looked like?
Yeah, no, I was just sort of saying it's funny you say these things because like I came to this truth be told, it's not like a super new revelation or anything like that, but I have found over the years, and even, before this podcast recording, I was sort of like setting, instead of traditionally where I might have been out there setting like goals, inverted commas, for you guys not watching this, now I'm sort of more interested in creating habits and like,
yes.
What are some of the habits that are going to help me drive outcomes? Because I think so often, and I've been guilty of this, so many times, where you go and write the big, audacious, hairy goal up on the whiteboard, but without like the action plan, which is basically the habitual routines to get you to that goal. Like inevitably, it all falls over and you don't end up hitting that target. So I've learned over the years that me, especially, and maybe it'd be good to get your feedback on this from more of an aggregate perspective of all the businesses and individuals that you've worked with. But it seems to me like the real power in making segues towards these targets is in the small habits that you create to get you to those things.
Yeah. So let me do that. Let me go ahead and add some insight. So what we would say with our coaching, because when we coach the executives and the owners, because it's like, we have some clients that have sold to private equity at some of them a 15x multiple. Like this, I'm like, I can't believe businesses are selling like this. And I'm seeing strategic buyers in our industry shift. They're not even buying HVAC right now. They're looking at medical practices. They're doing other stuff like that. They're already there. And part of the problem is, and I'll just throw this in there because this is important. If you're doing healthy EBITDA off cost cutting, you do not have an attractive business.
Right.
The buyer, when they buy your business, they want it built off of service, not cost cutting. That's not the way to a powerful EBITDA. And they want to ditch it, they want to cut it, they want to get rid of it, or they don't even want to buy it. So it's just something to be aware of as you're heading towards success. But then I would even add, really thinking through this is how to price. And I'm going to say something pretty radical that people are like, what? Is price off of materials, raw materials, but not labor. And so I'm just going to sneak that in there as a little like subliminal message, right? But let me go back. So if there's a few things around what you asked. Number one is understanding the stretching capacity, because all of us are going to get stretched. And I hear people say this often is like, I feel overwhelmed. Okay. Like the whole thing, like you talked about, kind of comes crashing in. It's like, I feel overwhelmed. And my first question is going to be, overwhelmed compared to what? There's no such thing as overwhelmed. It's really something that you're creating inside of yourself with the lights off, right? It's kind of like causing you to feel. It's like, no, I feel this. I'm not creating it. Like I'm feeling like I can't breathe as good, or like I'm having some chest things, or like my stomach. It's like, yeah, there are definitely biochemical reactions from things that happen in language that is said. If someone says F you, it's like, oh, whoa, like I feel that, right? And someone says, you're amazing, I feel that feels different, right? So there's definitely a biochemical reaction, but starting to understand there's no such thing as overwhelm. So if you're talking, I say, look, I call him God. You can call it the great spirit, Mother Nature, the essence, whatever your belief system is. I call it God. Call it whatever you want based on your belief system, but it's like there's some type of higher power thing. Like the sun keeps coming up, the earth keeps rotating. There are things that just run and are regulated. So you say, hey, listen, I believe God promised us, again, whatever your belief system is. So interpose that word as I'm saying this. It's like he won't give us more than we can handle. Humans do not receive more than they can handle. That's a principle. And we can drive back to Stephen Covey. We can look through other, methods of behavioral science. It's like, wait. Okay, you're telling me no matter what happens to me, it's not more than I can handle? That is correct. Yeah.
It's funny. Actually, I had this conversation this morning with a mate of mine about like he's in the fitness industry, and he was saying that it's just so many people that are coming in through his gym lately that just don't have, like, it's a gymnastic strength training gym, so it's a little bit different to like your traditional go and throw iron around kind of gym. And I trained there for years with him and so on and so forth. And he was saying there's a noticeable difference between people that are coming into the gym these days in their 20s and 30s, and they just don't seem to have like this as much foundational grit. And when we were talking about this, I was like, do you think it's maybe because, when you're growing up in sort of, like I'm an 80s child and, growing up in this era where we're like, pretty competitive in the sports space, and a lot of, like high level sport and things like these were happening all the time. And we're always kind of forced to, as you said earlier, stretch. Like, and I see this in my kids even today, they don't really like, they'll run for 100, like my daughter will run for 100 meters. You'll be like, Dad, I've got to rest. My legs are so sore. Like, you're not. You need to push your body harder than you're pushing it. You just never have before, so you don't understand what your limits are. And I tend to think this is a lot kind of similar to what you're talking about here, where people don't really understand what their limits are, and the fact that they're not maxed out. There is more.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing, because on a side note, we do quite a bit of coaching in parenting and childbearing and divorce and difficulties and loss of spouse. Like we do a lot of that background coaching. And I would say an essence of a father, absolute essence, is 1, enforce the law, but 2, push, especially their daughters, push them beyond their comfort level. That's like the beautiful role of a dad. It's so fantastic. I love you said that, because like, oh man, you're on the right track.
A colleague of mine once said, put this on a t-shirt, by the way, never deny your children the majesty of struggle.
Majesty.
And I think essentially what that means is, like, if you have kids and you give them too much or you're too easy on them, you don't make them strive for the next thing, kid's side, like anyone, basically. You know, if you provide too much, make it too easy, then they never really have to get out of that comfort zone and really work for something, you know?
We do see that a lot in the dealers where it's like they have this pretty successful business
Right.
and they're looking to kids to who they're going to give the business to.
And
it's like, what did we do wrong? Like,
well, that
he can do it, she can do it, you know, kind of thing. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to navigate, I suppose. And you know, I've got friends and colleagues that have done the same thing. They've raised these children with abundance, you know, and everything's sort of provided for them, and it's never turned out good. And like they have this sort of sense of entitlement that just becomes ingrained within them. And you know, for the better part, like it's pretty obvious for someone outside to look in and see that, but perhaps when you're stuck, you know, in that, it's maybe less obvious.
Yeah, and that was the core of when I built the Junior Step Away CEO program that we've had a bunch of kids go through. It was beautiful. Yeah. And here's the cool thing is like these kids, their parents, it's like they had the funding. So it's like money's not an issue. Okay. They have the confidence because their parents are winning and building these really successful companies. So it's like, oh, I could do it. Yeah, whatever you put your mind to, you can accomplish anything. It's like, okay, yeah, that's in the home, but they didn't have the quality parents time with their parents. And that was the missing piece. And when it was with them, they were correcting them or they were kind of like, you know, skipping all the responsibility and just, I'm going to make him my buddy, you know, or whatever. And it's like, there is a time and a place for all that. But where we started really teaching them and guiding them is inner grit, working towards stuff. And then when they finish the program, we actually hire them and have them mentor other youth, you know, going through it. And it was so beautiful. There's someone down in Miami that wanted to put us on one of these episodes, like TV episodes or something. It's like, I don't, you know, it kind of like the last few months, they started shifting a lot with the economy and like stuff that's happening. So I don't know if we're going to end up being on that, but it was like a Prime Video like series or something. They were like, dude, this is the coolest thing. We love this Junior Subway. I don't even know how they heard about it. So anyway, if I come back, so it's like, okay, overwhelm compared to what? So understanding is like, whatever you're feeling right now, it's like, this feels like shit. This is terrible. It's like, no, it's just, this is the feeling of being stretched. That's all that's happening. When you're like, oh, I'm just being stretched. Okay. And then you're also under the belief system that, well, wait, I can't be stretched beyond which I can handle. So now it's something I can definitely handle. That becomes different. Then I'll ask you a question, Matt. The second piece that we add in that, you know, to answer the question you asked earlier is like, if I ask you, I say, hey, Matt, what's the difference? No right or wrong question here. It's like, what's the difference between a great athlete and an elite athlete? What'd you say?
I'd say probably the work.
Okay, work for sure. Yeah, because you're not going to have an elite athlete that's lazy. Like that doesn't happen, right? Yeah. You could have an elite Hollywood performer that could be like, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, but in an athlete, no, you can't get away with it. What about DNA? What genetics? Does that play a role? Okay, well, what about discipline?
Yeah, which I think comes, exactly. It's the discipline that drives the action, right?
Okay. What about goals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
What about support system?
Definitely.
What about nutrition?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you have all these things. It's like, okay, but if I were to define a single characteristic that's the most important, I would say all those are crucial, but the one that's the most crucial would be bouncing back faster from a negative situation or a mistake.
So would you call that resilience?
Yeah, I would. Resilience mixed with a belief that you're better than you are. Now, this is weird because it's like, what do you mean better than you are? Like, that's not a good thing, right? I said, well, hold on a second. If I look at the most successful elite athletes, they believe they can accomplish things. It's almost like more than they can do, better than they can do. And it's like, dude, that guy's, it might come across as cocky or arrogant at times. It's like, well, wait a second. That could be a negative thing where you think you're better than you are, right? However, when you make a mistake and you think you're better than you are, do you think you'll try sooner to overcome the mistake or take more time?
Well, okay. this is, I think, like that whole concept around like the negative connotations like that are sort of assimilated towards inverted commas failure. Whereas an athlete sees failure as a lesson, whereas, the average person might see failure as a red cross against their name. And I think that, that's something that's probably, a bit of a polarizing perspective in the sense of, okay, well, if I can, learn from this and correct. So, I mean, you could put one of a million analogies to this, like sporting, of course, like I've just recently started playing golf again, which I haven't done in like 10 years. And, now I'm actually enjoying getting out there and trying to fix some of the things that I'm doing, right? Whereas before I just wanted to get out there and smash the ball as far as I could 15 years ago. And so now I'm looking at it with a totally different lens. Now I'm like, okay, well, this is something that I can improve. And these little the Arnold Schwarzenegger 1% improvement kind of, mindset with it, right? Which I don't know if that comes with wisdom or age or experience or whatever it might be, running businesses, but maybe it's all part of the one thing, But I think when you look at an athlete at the elite level, they're not afraid of failure. In fact, they're truthfully striving for failure. They wouldn't be shooting for these massive goals if they weren't intending to, come unstuck at some point.
No, absolutely. And I would say along with that as a great comment is a great example of getting back into something with new, fresh perspective in a new way. That's like, hey, I'm going to get back into this, but now I'm kind of working on this, which is different and challenges me and makes it meaningful. So it's like, okay, so if we go with that, we say, all right, listen. So if I'm talking about golf, because it's not really competing against anyone, like you can look at each other's scores and stuff, but it's really competing against the course or against yourself in some respects. And by the way, driving the golf cart's fun. Like whoever gets to do that, I was like, I want to drive to his. I love that. It's just fun. But it's like, okay, if I have a bad hole, does it take me 5 holes to recover? 5 days, 5 weeks? Now that's like, they say I'm in a slump. 5 months, 5 years, or I never recover from a really bad hole. And so bouncing back, how do I recover on the next swing? Or how do I recover, if possible, on the next swing, maybe on the next hole, or finish the hole strong or something? So it's like the ability to do that is going to be what you said, mixed with
agility,
believing, mixed with this is a lesson, but then there's something deeper. It's taking the pain and using it to catapult yourself. If I so it's like, think of it this way. I'll use like an example of, probably 40% of the people in the industry that we've worked with or talked to or connected with either has had a divorce or knows someone in their family that has. And it might be a little bit higher now. The numbers was like, if you didn't see it coming and it caught you off guard, it is a very, very devastating thing to happen. Okay. Especially if you saw long-term, thought long-term, and like some people do, they lock their heart. It's like, I'm not dating anyone else. I'm not really considering anyone else. Like I might see something, like, oh, that's not, but it's like, boom. And I come back and I'm like, focus. That's some people. Other people are like, I'm going to look around. There's all different ways to do it. But I use this because I say in that moment, it might cause a man who never cries to perhaps get, their eyes will sweat. Let's say, whatever you want to call it. But it's like, oh man, it's like this guy's like, this is affecting them. I see them in pain. I see them suffering. By the way, suffering is I have loss, I have less, or I'll never have what I used to. Like that's when we truly suffer. It's like I've lost something, I have less of something, or I might never get back what I had. Those 3 things are called suffering, but guess what? They're optional. You don't have to suffer. And that's where you start to realize in the situation of getting to the elite athlete in terms of like all different aspects of life, not just golf, but in business, in anything, is it's like, is that true? Well, I never have that. Why? I don't know. So
quick pause for a second. If this episode's hitting home for you, do us a favor. Please give it a follow on this app. And if possible, please share it with someone that you think would also benefit. This podcast was brought to you by tradiewebguys, where day in, day out, we work with tradies and contractors that are looking for predictable, manageable systems to close more jobs and scale with consistency. It's a proven system that's focused on closing more jobs, not just generating more leads. We have loads of case studies and reviews on the website to back this up if you want to go check it out. If you like the sound of predictable, manageable, and consistent growth, click on the link in the description or head to tradiewebguys.com.au and start the conversation. All right, back to it.
if I don't know, therefore it's not, right? And it's like, I'll spend the rest of my life proving it wrong. It's like, less, do I have less? Well, financially, maybe yes. Wisdom? I have more perhaps, right? Have I lost? Yeah, but can I get it back? Or can I get back something even better? Right? And so that's where you start to dig through a little bit and get into, like you mentioned, grit. And you get into that where you start to say, well, wait a second, this pain I'm feeling right now, I have a choice. I can either mourn, but how many days in a row do I need to feel the same pain until I say, hey, that's enough? Or once I feel it one time, is that enough to learn the lesson? So it's like, that guy had a really bad divorce and 6 months later he was married. Oh, he must have been cheating on her. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, well, wait a second, right? How long are you supposed to take to recover? Who's defining the rules of how long you should take to recover from something? It's like, you are. Mm-hmm. You are defining the rules. You're either accepting what someone else said, accepting what you read, or accepting what just by default occurred. But you could go in and say, hey, listen, the second I feel this intense pain or dissatisfaction or whatever, or mistake, could I in that moment say, hey, oh, I feel this, I don't want this to happen again. Let me make a decision to adjust. Could I do that in the moment?
And so does this form some sort of what you might call a framework or like a problem-solving matrix or something where you're like, something might pop up on the radar that might seem as a setback initially, as you just mentioned. However, in the greater scheme of things, like deploying some sort of framework which puts you back in control so you can acknowledge, accept, and then move on. Is that what we're getting at here?
Yeah, and it's not just, it's at every level.
Sure. I mean, look, the great example is, you know, when you start out in business and something happens, which at the time you think is an absolute catastrophe or whatever. And then, you know, years later, you wouldn't even blink, you wouldn't lose a minute's sleep over something as insignificant as that, which back in the day, and, you know, your worst day, the worst day in your life is the worst day in your life, regardless of who you are or where you are or what you do, right? Like if that means you saw a family member get murdered in front of you, then that's the worst day of your life. If you got a letter from a lawyer or something, that could be the worst day of your life. Like it's all in perspective, right? But like intimate experience, like you develop these muscles and these strengths around these different things so you can cope better.
Yeah, and as a side note, I never thought that being successful would cause you to get legal letters. But what you learn is your competition actually might sue you to try to keep you from growing in your industry. And you're like, what? I never even contemplated this. It's like, oh, yeah. That's high five myself. Nice job. It's just kind of like you look at it. But to your point, you look at it 10 years later and you say, oh, I see why that happened. Yeah. Oh, okay. And you start to realize all those things that were challenging or difficult or hard to keep motivation or hard to keep going kind of stuff, as you dig through them, and as we really advocate at Shop on Fire, it's like, take the pain of whatever it is and use it as rocket fuel to break Earth's surface, to break gravity in whatever you're doing and blast to a totally new level. You don't got to pay for it. You don't need alcohol. You don't need drugs. It's a free experience of and don't go looking for pain, by the way. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if it happens, it's like a free high octane fuel that's given to you to get you higher. and there's no other way to get higher. It's like, of course you got to have a coach. Like, I don't know anyone. And we have probably 15 people right now that have sold completely out of the industry, are super wealthy. It's like, now what? Right. And so we never, in the beginning, I never imagined that a bunch of our clients would be like that. But that's what we have too. And it's all around what we're talking about. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm saying that problems never go away.
Sure.
They just increase in quality. This is like, if we think about that, back to the overwhelmed comment, Matt, I'm only going to feel overwhelmed if I expect this shouldn't happen, or if I expect I shouldn't have this problem. This should be done or go away. It's really what drives it, right? Because it's like, well, wait a second. Problems never go away. I'm always going to have problems. It's like, okay, well then how do I work? What's my framework there? And my framework's going to be, as long as they're increasing in quality, I'm doing well. And I just use a basic example of food. I love eating. Every 3 hours, I'm hungry, man. Every 3 hours. And I was a kid that was always picking out the meat or the protein. And my dad's like, stop eating just the meat, eat the vegetables, eat the other stuff. Okay, Dad, but I feel good when I eat the meat, right? It's just like, and so you say, okay, is it a problem to say, oh my gosh, my family's going to starve. I need to lay out a blanket and sell chiclets and bracelets and stuff. It's like, I got to feed my family, right? So there's that. Then I get to a point of sustainment. It's like, you know what? This steak is medium instead of medium rare. Take it back. This is unacceptable, right? It's like, okay, problem around food, but different quality. Now it's like, hey, which restaurant should I buy? Like, I have some money and I'm seeing restaurants are good right now in the marketplace. Which one should I buy? Different problem, right? Which investment group of restaurants? And what about blockchain? What if I own the restaurant, own the things that supply to the restaurant, and own all the pieces, and then sell the other restaurants too without them even knowing it? But I own all those other things, right? And so it's like, it's a different quality problem, still around food. And so it's like, you keep moving up. And if anyone's wondering about blockchain, what I'm talking about, but because I mentioned that, is so we have a guy that owns a tire shop. He's like, I want to buy another tire shop. So buy another tire shop. I was like, how do I dominate? How do I expand on my marketplace? I said, okay, what if we own the blockchain? He said, what is that? What do you mean? He's like, okay, well, we're going to buy the rubber plants. What? Yeah. We're going to go into Malaysia. We're going to buy a piece of the rubber plants so that we own the production of the rubber for the tire. It's like, why would I do that? I was like, well, for one thing, we can offer our own brand of tire. We call it, Matt's Tires. These are awesome. 50,000 mile warranty, whatever. It's like, so you have your own brand from your own rubber, and all the competing tire shops are now buying rubber, but you don't tell them it's from you, because if you did that, it probably wouldn't go as well. You just make it another company. They have no idea. You just sounds like, because it's its own company, I'm not doing it, to hide. I'm just doing this. It's like, this is a different thing. I'm doing a different thing, right? But now I'm selling to all the other tire companies and I'm dominating in my tire business. That's what I mean by owning the whole blockchain. Most people don't even think of that.
Well, yeah,
right?
I guess like the objection to that would be, well, I know how to run a tire store, like retail. I don't know how to manufacture. Do I have the resource to go through this whole exercise myself? Like, it's in a completely different vertical, really. Same industry in hindsight, but like, it's chalk and cheese at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. And that's where it's kind of like, well, what level of, like to your point, about, gym memberships and stuff, and like what they're seeing, when it's like around like higher levels of fitness, like who wants it? Who's hungry? Who's driven for a higher quality problem? But I can tell you this, at some point, there's nothing that you need to know there's nothing that you need to be a master about other than what you're doing specifically. So if I say, full immersion, right? It's like, I don't know anything about tires, but what do I need to know about tires to buy rubber plantations in Malaysia? But if I own it and all the tire companies are now purchasing from my company, what level of competition does that give me?
Mm.
Now it's irrelevant. I mean, if my business does great. But if it's not there, they're still all buying from me. How did I get all my competitors to buy from me? How did I do that? And it's like manufacturing, there's always people there that are willing to do what they do and you do what you do. And it's just about putting it together. That's why we got into lending. So we get money for our clients. We can get, a full year at no interest sometimes for purchasing, for capital. We focus on service within their business and help them be worth a lot more. And when they're worth a lot more, we can get them more money and they can use that money to build and grow. So they don't have to buy a blockchain, but it's like, it's still going to be around. Overwhelm compared to what? How fast do I bounce back? And if I bounce back really quickly, that makes me an elite athlete versus a great athlete. Then we go to the third thing. It's like higher quality problems, right? How do I get, as long as they're getting higher quality, I know I'm doing well. And then the last thing that's going to be built around the motivation is causing yourself physically to do something. So I guess what I mean by that, and that's going into the new year, back to your original question. So if I say, okay, I have a triangle, right? At the top of my triangle, is focus. Or let's move it to this side. So I have a triangle right here. This side's focus. This side's language. And then the bottom is going to be physiology or my body. Okay. So imagine this. How I use my body determines what I'm focusing on. If I'm like this, what am I focusing on? If I'm like this, what am I focusing on? If I'm like that, what am I focusing on? If I'm like this, what am I focusing on? Right? So however I use my body determines what I focus on. And whatever I focus on, I give meaning and language. So this is a really simple stuff. Sometimes when I'm a keynote speaker in the industry, or whatever, I'll give this example. It's like, I'm driving down the road in my car. Okay. Someone cuts me off. What do you do?
Well, you have the option, right? You can either crack it or you can just let it go.
Yeah. Crack it or let it go. Does my focus change based on what they did first or second or third? What happens first? In the moment someone cuts you off, what's the very first thing that happens?
Safety. Brake.
Right. Okay.
Avoid a collision.
Yeah. You're like, don't hit it. All right. So if I get down to the really granular, the first thing that happens is this. I move my body. Whether it's hit the brake, crank the wheel, right? Immediately, if I'm sitting like this, I'm not staying like this. I'm popping up. So the first thing that happens is my physiology changes. Then my focus goes where, Matt? To the person that cut me off or to the guy selling the popsicle? Where does my focus go?
From probably whatever safety related things surround that incident, whether it's the car in front of you, the car behind you that you slammed the brake on for, like whatever.
Yeah, you're immediately assessing what's the immediate mitigation, right? And so then it goes there. And then what follows is language and meaning. Whatever you're going to say or communicate with your hands, whatever, honk, honk, right? Something happens where you say meaning, this guy is a blah, and I start to communicate. So just to break it down really quickly, the first thing that changes is my body. The second thing that changes is what I'm focusing on. And then language and meaning follow. No one knows how to drive but me, right? Or whatever it is. This guy's an idiot, right? Whatever I'm saying. But then we know that. So then I look into the back of the car and I see a pregnant woman. And she's got blood running down her face. Now what do I do?
Sympathy.
Yeah, exactly. So watch this. I changed my body again.
Yeah.
My focus shifts from that to this. Once I've assessed that I've got safety, as you said, I say, oh no, what's going on here? Is he taking her to the hospital? What should I do? Can I help? How can I help? Oh, let me get in front of him and like block for him on the way to the hospital. So it's a completely different shift. But the two things I want to highlight is, and this is the last part of the motivation, like how to get on fire, how to stay on fire. You have to move because emotion comes from motion. The more you move, the more you feel. If I'm at a game, let's say I'm at a rugby pitch, and the New Zealand All Blacks are here, and they're doing the haka and all this stuff. I'm like, whoa, I've never seen this before, right? The crowd's like this as they're moving. What's the level of energy as they're moving?
Yeah, super high.
It's like versus like, right? So remember, emotion comes from motion. The more I move, the more I feel. So if I want to feel, I got to move. So the last thing you want to do if you're struggling with motivation is stop moving. Don't stop moving. Right? So I start to move. And then the next thing is massive action. That's the cure all, isn't it? Massive action. If that doesn't work, then this. And massive action. That doesn't work, then massive action. And eventually you'll find the way.
So couple of questions, but I want to know how, like, for the sake of everyone listening and watching this, and absolutely for, selfishly myself, but, we've talked about, I suppose, the fact that we need purpose, and we need to have, like, we're working towards something. How do we go about defining that purpose? What's the framework look like to do that? And then importantly, what are some of these action points that you talk about daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it might be, frameworks that we need to adopt in order to maintain that focus on the purpose and realign ourselves once we inevitably do start drifting?
Right. No, that's a great question. I love that. And selfishly or not, I think it's important because it's like knowing that and how people think about that is crucial. So
because
one thing
that you said there is, which I think, and it was sort of said in jest, but it's very relevant, is the ability to be agile. And my experience over the years is absolutely, if you are revisiting these things on a regular cadence, your ability to be agile is far superior to if you're not revisiting them regularly. So, for example, if you have like a quarterly meeting with your team, when you go over the quarter that's just been, that's great, but it's not as useful or as relevant as a monthly meeting, which is not even useful as relevant as a weekly meeting, where you can really realign and reset the targets.
Yeah. So I answer that with multiple pieces. So as far as the meetings go, let me just address it really quick, because at Shop on Fire, we do it quite differently. We literally say the only purpose of a meeting is to make decisions. If you're not making decisions, don't meet. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? Like, we have to meet. We got to communicate. It's like, yeah, but it needs to be driven around making a decision, right? A decision to sell more, for example, right? A decision to change this, a decision to expand your marketplace, a decision to add additional safety equipment to get to more days without an accident or whatever. But then the other piece of it is score your meetings. How effective was this meeting? And don't do 0 to 10, do 0 to 100. 0 to 10, people lie. But 0 to 100 is like, oh, okay, right? 40, right? What if I just did that? It's like, hey guys, how effective was this meeting 0 to 100? And they know I'm not going to retaliate if they say the truth. Like, they're not going to get fired or like looked at bad or never get the promotion because like, how dare you criticize my meeting? So you have to have, to your point of safety in the car example, they have to have some level of safety and certainty within that, right? And that'll go into the answering the other question, the question that you asked at a deeper level. So we kind of have them score. How exciting was this meeting? How effective was it? And we adjust the meetings based on that. So now it's like the meetings are exciting, they're fun, they're happy, like people are looking forward to them. versus like, oh, I'm not going to get as much done. Okay, so there's that piece there.
Quick pause for a second. If this episode's hitting home for you, do us a favor. Please give it a follow on this app. And if possible, please share it with someone that you think would also benefit. This podcast was brought to you by tradiewebguys, where day in, day out, we work with tradies and contractors that are looking for predictable, manageable systems to close more jobs and scale with consistency. It's a proven system that's focused on closing more jobs, not just generating more leads. We have loads of case studies and reviews on the website to back this up if you want to go check it out. If you like the sound of predictable, manageable, and consistent growth, click on the link in the description or head to tradiewebguys.com.au and start the conversation. All right, back to it.
As far as driving, what to drive and what to go for and what to shoot for, I think that this takes some internal inspection, right? Because it's like, get back to where you were when you first started in your industry or in your life or in your career. If you could go back and redesign your career path, what would be the best way to do it? So I spoke at a college at BYU, Hawaii. So Brigham Young University has a Hawaii campus. I was like, no way, dude, I'm going to that one. I'm going to that one. Yeah. So I graduated from there and I returned and I spoke to the business school a few years ago. And I just talked to them, right? And I said, hey, look, take what do I love with what am I good at with what can I get paid for? And find the perfect intersection. You got to be really honest with where you're good at, right? You've all seen American Idol or like, America's Got Talent or there have other versions across the world. It's like some people think they can sing and they can't sing. It's like Randy, one time Randy, one of the judges was like, he's like, baby, you're tone deaf. It's like, yeah, it's like, this is not for you, right? It's just like, we got to be honest, but that's one way that's different, right? Because it's like, nobody really gives that advice. That's kind of really unique, right? It's like, so I'm looking at my life and say, hey, what am I good at, right? With what do I love? With what can I get paid for? That's really powerful because it's easy to stay motivated.
And then what about the cadence around revisiting that and keeping it current and keeping it real and maintaining agility?
So, I mean, there's two kinds of people in the world, right? And there's more, of course, but let me just summarize it into two and go back to high school. Okay. There's someone that you saw that was really talented. And then there's someone you saw that's like, didn't really seem to have any talents. Like you could think of somebody, some people believe, oh, that's me. I didn't have any talent, or that's me. Some people is like, but it's like, go back and think about it. And then look at how they're doing now. So this is kind of interesting. I did this, like this guy, I knew this guy was so talented, right? But I look at him and his life is like a fireworks show. It's like amazing, beautiful fireworks. And then the next morning, what's left over? Just a mess, just crap everywhere. You're sweeping and cleaning up, right? And that was his life. That was his life. It's like he was so talented and he had these ups and these downs and these ups. And like the guy was like killing it. And then the next minute he was in the dumps. I was like, why? Why does he have a life like that? And then this other guy that I knew that was like, he doesn't really seem to be good at anything, but he picked something and he kept working at it and working at it and working at it. And little by little, and now he's making 5 times what the other guy is. And he's got this, there's still ups and downs, but it's not, Matt, it's not like this. It's like, like steady, right? It's like, why? How is that? And that's where you have to just stick to something. And that's why I say, try to get the love in there, the good at in there, maybe the motivation financially. What can I get paid for? And paid for doesn't have to mean money. It could mean recognition. It could be an ability to contribute to a charity or to a school or something. It could mean like other people coming and always telling you thank you. Like that's a way to get paid, right? Because you're getting paid with compliments, with significance, financially, perhaps with trade. Trade's always a good thing. I had an uncle who would say like, hey, I'm going to do this for you. Give me 100,000 in stucco work. Give me 150,000 in restaurant vouchers at your franchises and give me like $200,000 worth of tractor stuff. and then he would take and trade, and he made so much money trading. I was like, oh my gosh, he came way out ahead when he did the trade. But that's really, what's that?
Not Italian, is he?
Irish. but we do have Italian blood. Yeah, we do. I actually speak fluent Italian. That's funny. Yeah, no, but yeah, exactly. And to your point, Italians were brilliant. They didn't even invent anything. They just perfected it. Take the car, Lamborghini, Ferrari, right? Take clothes, Bugatti, you got Bugatti, you got Giorgio Armani, food, a pizza, pasta, like these, eggplant Parmigiano. If you've had a real eggplant Parmesan in Italy, it's like, man, the flavor's incredible, right? So it's like, they just kept perfecting everything, but the passion, and they actually believe like the more you put love into the food, the better it tastes. And I think they're right. I think it actually does taste better.
So when you're working with individuals or businesses or whatever, is there like an agenda where you sort of help them define, okay, once a week we need to sit down for an hour and we need to look at this thing which outlines where we're heading, or once a month or whatever it might be? Is that kind of part of the program, like in terms of frameworks?
Yes, we usually do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's once a month. It's going to depend on the client, because if you and I meet, Matt, and we're doing our session, and I check in with you in a month, and you're like, way over here, I'm like, oh, okay, we got to meet more often, right?
Yeah.
Or someone else, I'm like, no, I just got this a week ago. I need more time. So it's like you kind of gauge it. We like every 2 weeks, but some is every 7 to 10 days, and others are like once a month. And it's like, it just depends how much action they take from the time you meet and how far along they might be, because you don't want them way over here. So that's one piece of the framework. The second piece of the framework is we're going to assess what are the levers in your life that give the biggest change. So I'm measuring that while I'm meeting with you, and I'm a third, like, you don't have eyes back here, right? You can't see. So there's things you're blind to. What are the blind spots? And only a very highly skilled, highly experienced, super nuanced individual would be able to spot that and say, hey, look, you're heading toward this pitfall. Are you sure you want to do that? Or like, hey, Matt, I noticed you always do great when you're doing this and this. You say, oh, I never really put that together, right? So we're just looking at, and levers are like, if I'm in a plane, and I'm like, I turn something to make the ailerons go different. It's like, nothing happens. I go over here, I flip some switches, nothing happens. Click, click, turn some knobs, nothing happens. But if I grab that shift, right, stuff is really happening. So it's like, what are the levers in your life that create massive and immediate difference? So we're always logging that for you. And we're also extremely powerful. All the people that we have working with our customers have powerful memory. And we're able to go back years, because we have a lot of clients, like owners and leaders, that are like 5 years with us now, and over 5. One of them is like 9. And it's like, how do we do it? It's like, hey, remember 8 years ago when you were talking to Teresa and you said that? Oh yeah, that's right. I already had the answer, right? And so we're bringing that stuff back into your memory in the very moment. It's very unique. People hardly ever do that because they don't have the right people in place that have exceptional memories. It's very hard to find people with exceptional memories that are loquacious, meaning they're talkative and deeply get along at a deep level with individuals. But that's really what it's about, is gauging how much you move and then catering to that. And then we did something really unique with our VIPs. With our VIPs, your coaching session can happen at any time, day or night, doesn't matter, because when is the window of opportunity open? How long does it stay open? By the time you have your next coaching session, did it already close? So you got to be really, really liquid. And so that's the one thing that we drove from the beginning. Like, I have one client, he started out with 10 properties. He just wanted to do Airbnb properties. And in 2 years, we went from 10 to 125 Airbnbs. Can you believe that? And it's like, that's so many properties. he doesn't have, it's not a headache. It's not a big deal. It all runs without him. And as you share, more people will do more stuff. As you're greedy, you're always, I can't get this guy to do this. I can't get, so it's like you start to give them a piece of it. But it's like, there's 2 or 3 sessions we've done with him at like 3 a.m. But that's when he needed it. And that's when it worked. And that's when he closed his multifamily deals. And that's where he got like his greatest ideas. And so it's like, who does that? Well, service businesses kind of do. Like some of us serve plumbing or like any hour of the day. But how about you being served at any time of the day or night? Why isn't there a parallel in your life? And what if the challenge is like, and you know what I'm saying, like a window of opportunity opens, Matt, and then it closes, it doesn't come back. That opportunity is not coming back. You might have something similar or different 10 years down the road, but being able to move. So we're measuring the levers, right? We're gauging how often we need to be checking in with you. And then furthermore, we're also allowing access for the VIPs. For regular ones, it's like, it's different, right? They're on a different time and program and stuff. But for the VIPs is, access at any time to the highest level. And that becomes very powerful because like, I don't need something at 2 a.m. It's like, well, maybe you do, right? And then as you start cranking those levers, you say, ooh, I got to respond immediately. I got to beat my marketplace. I got to, So it's really about that. And then the next question is, how do I keep up with that kind of energy?
Is there like, in your experience, like red flags for people that are going through what might be deemed as burnout?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And what that's gonna do is say the power of anticipation. We all have the ability, Matt, to see that. So it's like, you've done this. You say, hey, baby girl, don't do that. You're going to spill the orange juice. No, don't do orange juice spills, milk spills, whatever. You saw it before it happened, right? So you can do this. But it's like having the power of anticipation of noticing when things are headed and where they're headed. And I loved Wayne Gretzky, the famous hockey player, right? He would always, they're like, what's the difference? And he would say, I don't know if you've heard this. Maybe
where the puck is going, not where it's at.
Yeah, but how do you do that? You have to practice. We all have the innate ability to do that, but not everyone does. And not everyone practices it. And it's also going like this, because I have to do this to focus, especially masculine energy. One thing at a time, laser focused. My lady's like, oh, you can't do multiple things. Haha. I was like, yeah, you're right. No, I can't. But I'm laser focused on everything I do. And it's like intense. I'm like, get out of the way. Like I'm here. Like everyone's like, whoa, watch Jeremiah. Like when he gets drilled in on something, he doesn't let go. Right. And so there's a piece there as well. But the burnout comes from things that you did along the way that didn't take care of the deficiencies. So the best way I can explain this is we have a guy down in Naples that used to be in the insurance industry. And what he did was he predicted, he would look at people's vitals, their blood work and all this other stuff, Matt. Get this. He would say how long they have to live. He could predict to the week how long they had left to live. How many people do you think wanted to know the answer?
No one.
No one wanted to know. But along came, what's that?
His insurance company might.
Yeah, because it's crucial how you invest and what you do with the risk, because premiums and they're transferring risk. You're paying insurance as a transfer of risk, right? But they do turn into investment vehicles and stuff like that. It's like, if I time it perfectly and I cash out right before they pass away, let's say, and it could be a sensitive subject talking about this, right? But he's just like, and then here's what it got crazy. He got really good at it, like predicting it to the week. And then he came across one of the people. He's like, he was in Orlando. He was at an event and he says, that's the guy. I just saw that guy's chart. He's only got a few months. And here's what's weird. When you're in that industry, you're signing all these non-disclaimers. You can't talk about stuff. So he's with his wife going, I can't tell him. I want to tell him. And the doctor was missing it because they were missing the blood work and not seeing like the actual deficiencies.
Do I hear this guy on a podcast somewhere? This is very familiar to me somehow.
He's very close. He's like an hour and a half away from me, right? And so we went down there, right? So yeah, you're going to know who this guy is when I tell you, right? So it's like, okay. So, and because we just started working with them and we love them. Like they're so awesome. So it's like, okay, all right. So now what? So he starts, he quits. He's like, I can't do this anymore. And you know how your wife is when you first leave a job or quit or sell a business, she's like, oh baby, you got it. But then like a month into it, she's like, wait, what are you doing? Where are you headed? Like, oh, what the hell's going on? Like, it's not so, the nirvana's gone, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, man, she's going to be reaming me daily. I got to figure something out, right? So it's like, okay. And not all women are like that, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, they're wondering what the hell you're doing, right? It's like, that's not it. Like, we got another level, baby. Let's go. And so we look at him, he leaves, he starts a clinic and he starts using it to help people. And a guy named Dana White, reaches out to him and he's like what's going on here? And they have a couple connections and all of a sudden Dana hears about his ability to predict life and Dana wants to know how long he has to live. And he says, I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. And Dana says, you will for me. Right? Because he wanted to know. And when Dana got the number and it wasn't long, he's like, oh my gosh, I got to do something.
Right.
And sometimes it takes something like that. So burnout, and then not just burnout like mentally, but physically, emotionally can be so devastating that it can put us on a path where we're not going to last forever if we don't change. But the key is catch it beforehand if you can, right? And never get there. That's the key. So when we do our coaching, we're driving toward that too. But here's the rest of it. So I say, okay. So he gets it and he goes, oh my gosh. So he changes, but this is what he changes on. Gary Brecka tells him, hey, listen, everything that you have wrong with you is not necessarily genetic because a specific disease like cancer doesn't pass. It doesn't pass on to the next person. What passes is the deficiency. So my body won't, we call it methylate, Matt. I take something and my body just won't methylate it. It won't convert it into raw material and put it in my body. Therefore, I'm not getting enough oil or enough grease or enough clean fuel or whatever it is. And so because of that, it starts to build up. And that's where the disease and the sickness and the problems and all those stuff come from. And the reason we're so into this, Matt, is because we want to make sure all our clients are powered, are recuperating, are able to perform at their highest levels, and then it's sustainable. And not only do they not get burned out, they start helping others not get burned out. That's what we want. I don't want you just to not get burned out. I want your whole family and your whole company. I want you keeping them from getting burned out. Then I'm like, yeah, I'm doing something good, right? So it's like, that's where we went with that. And we started saying, okay, what are the deficiencies? And I'm going to tell you that every single time in every successful business owner we had, including women, it was something with the intimate relationship.
Really?
Yeah. And here's what's crazy.
Quick pause for a second. If this episode's hitting home for you, do us a favor. Please give it a follow on this app. And if possible, please share it with someone that you think would also benefit. This podcast was brought to you by tradiewebguys, where day in, day out, we work with tradies and contractors that are looking for predictable, manageable systems to close more jobs and scale with consistency. It's a proven system that's focused on closing more jobs, not just generating more leads. We have loads of case studies and reviews on the website to back this up if you want to go check it out. If you like the sound of predictable, manageable, and consistent growth, click on the link in the description or head to tradiewebguys.com.au and start the conversation. All right, back to it.
So in our industry, women are amazing, by the way, and they're so talented and they're so much better at customer service and resolving issues with customers than the men are. But it's a male-dominated industry, and some guys are like, "No, I'm good too." Well, I'm gonna fight you on that one because I'm gonna tell you, we got women that work for me. They can do it in 3 hours what it takes you like 3 days to do. So it's like, and these women are comparing their hours on a time clock with the men. It shouldn't do it. You don't need to be here 8 hours a day, Savannah. You could be here 3 and you do this. Go home. You're getting paid. We're getting taken care of. Get out of here. We got this. And by the way, they're running the business, they're running the house, they're running the kids. Like they got a lot of stuff going on, right? So it's like these women that we're working with that are bosses, that are leaders and CEOs are like hardcore and they're tough as nails. And what happens in a relationship, if you're the strong one and it shifts and now she's the strong one and the CEO and the leader, what happens in that dynamic? And so this is really, if I just dive in quickly, because this is a really interesting piece that we do that I don't know any other coach, like I don't know anyone else that does stuff like this. Like maybe there is, but it's like, I'm masculine. Okay. So are you, right? But it's like, do I have a feminine part to me? Absolutely. I can have this feminine, loving, nurturing for my daughter, for example, but I don't stay like that all the time. Okay. So here's what it shifts. She goes masculine, kicking ass, rocking it, killing it, CEO. He goes feminine in the moment. But if they're doing that all the time, they're both burnt out. So I'm going to challenge the burnout and say most of the owners' burnout that we see is actually around masculine and feminine energy. Wow. Nobody's going to tell you that. I'm telling you that. I'm saying this is what we've seen, because the way to get exhausted, if I'm masculine and I'm constantly going feminine all the time and she's going masculine, now our polarity just goes, whoosh, flips. It flips. And how long is that sustainable? Well, I'm not being who I am and neither is she. Now we're both exhausted. So the exhaustion actually comes from not being who you are. This is a deep one. People are going to, I don't know about that. Yeah, it could be bullshit. It's like, well, try it out, see what happens. Because when our relationship has powerful polarity, I'm being my core energy, she's bringing her core energy at the same time, that's when it's electric. And even in gay relationship, you see the same thing. There's a feminine and masculine, even in a gay relationship, it's the same thing, right? It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like how it adds up is feminine and masculine. Okay, I get that, whether your belief is one way or not, it's like, I get how it matches. I get it. There's polarity.
So
right?
with that in mind, is there essentially is it about identifying and I suppose more importantly, like executing the ability to be able to jump from, say, that role within work where you are very masculine or whatever it might be into the home environment where you're just family orientated, you're not looking at your phone, you focus on the family, and just be about the ability to sort of be across both at a choice.
Yeah. And the quickest way to explain it is like, if you ever drove a manual car, not an automatic, but like you're shifting gears, you gotta shift gears. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't, not only will it lead to burnout, but you may lose your relationship. However, whenever, right? Because ultimately, Matt, what we want to do, a challenge is seen as the tiger. The tiger shows up and it wants to eat you. That's a big challenge or fear in our life. That tiger's like, oh shit, there's a tiger, right? And it happens in dreams, happens in real life. It's like that tiger shows up. Ultimately, what you and I want to do is say, I looked the tiger in the eyes, I stared at him. I said, do your worst, I'll do mine, kind of thing, right? But what if we just eliminate the tiger? It doesn't even show up because we're getting ahead and we're anticipating where we're going to mess up or be weak or have deficiencies that will lead to burnout. Or our relationship is like, well, I mean, yeah, our marriage is good. It's like, yeah, but when the kids leave, are you electric and passionate and it's like, can't keep away from each other? Or is it just kind of like roommates? Like, where's it at really? It's like, well, this is what works for us. Okay. Well, you can choose what works for you, but electric polarity when you feel it. It's like you're just like, boom, like, wow, babe, I love you. And it's this deep connection and it's the most fulfilling. So we have to talk about it, but we're looking at that and we're saying, what's your core? What's her core? And we're driving to where you're in your core most of the time, but you're shifting because I can't go in. Oh, my daughter just like, she just got, let's say she's playing jump rope out on the school grounds and this girl like pulled away the jump rope and pushed her down. And she responded saying, hey, you don't do that. And the other kids started defending her and saying, yeah, don't do that. She's nice. And she pushed the other girl down. Right. And now she's feeling bad and she's crying because she's like, I shouldn't have done it, but she deserved it. But then the other girl got embarrassed and everyone started laughing at her. And I felt bad. That's not the time to say, yeah, baby, like, and be all masculine. This is not the time for it. So I said, oh, wow. Okay. Well, how do you think she felt after? Do you think like it went away after a little while or she's still thinking about it? Okay. All right. Well, what's something you could do the next day? Is there anything you could do? Okay. All right. And so I'm kind of like walking through. And by the way, there's no more powerful, like feminine and masculine, like they're both have their own power sets, but they're both crucial for polarity, for growth, for progress, for a nation, for civilization. They're huge. But when you understand them and you shift, just like when you're speaking a language, you shift. You go from, we talked Italian, to English, to Australian. No, I'm just kidding. It's like, but it's like, you're just shifting. It's like, boom, you just shift. Right. And that's it. And so as you see it like that and you continue like recognize it, and that's the last piece I'll share on that, Matt. It's just the last piece of the question you just answered is awareness. Are you aware of what's going on around you? And this is a big one because it's like, if you've ever, it's like, we call it in our business, we call it sensory acuity. So what that is using all five senses: hearing, which is, auditory; seeing, which is visual, these; kinesthetic, like the feel around me; gustatory, the taste, right? Olfactory, and that's the smell. That's the most powerful of the five senses, is smell. Like someone says, hey, this smells like shit. And you like smell it. I was like, why'd you smell it? I said it smelled like shit. I couldn't resist. I like, I had to like, I don't know. I couldn't, I don't know. Why did I do that? Why do guys smell smelling salts? I don't know. Right. But it's like, it's powerful. It's very, very powerful. So it's like, okay, how do I use that to notice what's going on around me? So if you've ever caught yourself where you're like, oh shit, you look up and there's 4 cars behind you waiting. You didn't catch it. Like someone had to honk, or you just happened to look up. It's like, there's a difference when you walk past someone, Matt, like they're standing like this and you walk up to them and they just sense you and they just move. Or other people, you have to tap them on the shoulder. Hey, excuse me. Sorry, I'm trying to get through. Right. The person you have to tap versus the person that just senses you and moves. So we also drive deeply in those senses of noticing what's going around you. We have a really specific secret sauce that we use where it gets really high, and we have you put yourself in situations, and that's where it starts to get fun. And now there's very little burnout because now you're working on the stuff that keeps you from ever getting there.
Before we get to wrapping up, I want to know about the 15-minute energy ritual and the 30-minute purpose reset.
Okay. So we have something that we do called priming. So in all of our clients, we provide access. They can go on their phone, computer, whatever, and access specific things that we do, that we talk to them, we create them, we bring stuff. It's a whole experience where you're listening to it. And we use really powerful technology to get you into these really powerful states. Okay. So if I were to say to you, Matt, like, think of a time when you felt unstoppable. Yeah. And as soon as you're like, oh, I got, boom, now I'm sitting different, I'm breathing different, right? So essentially what we do is on a daily basis, you don't have to do it every day, but if you do it on every day, within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll be able to take on 10 times the difficulty of other people and not even flinch. Like, this really brings a powerful unstoppability to you. It's like, you're still going to have things where you don't win everything every time, but it's like, it starts to get more and more rare. And so we walk you through and we take you through these clips. Sometimes we'll do it in person. Other times it's audio, like this kind of thing, video, like stuff like that. But we essentially, without giving away the sauce, we basically have a syntax, which means a specific protocol. Syntax would be like the order. And I know other people have tried to replicate some of the stuff we do, but it's just like, think of it like if I make a cake, if I put in the ingredients, then I mix it up, then I put it in the oven, and then and then I put frosting. But if I put the frosting on before it's baked, it's going to be different, right? That's going to be a totally different thing. So it's kind of the syntax we take you through, and we design it specifically on you and your makeup and your protocol as a person. But essentially, it's this 15-minute power every day that we take you through where it makes sure you're in the most powerful states possible. And then we have a system that keeps you into genius level of thought. So
Awesome.
you are constantly in genius mode.
Does this align with like a flow state and that kind of concept?
Yeah. It is. And there's different levels of flow. But we get into the deepest ones, right? And we have, there's different levels. And by the way, kids, so your kids would still be in this until about 8 or 9, they change their flow. Because you watch how creative, how resilient. Like they say, in the words, in the mouth of babes, I think is the quote that they use, where this kid will just confound like the world-renowned scientist just by something simple they say. It's like they're in this really powerful state. And then about 8 or 9, it kind of goes away and they start to get critical, doubt, start to think, things aren't going to work out. It's like, what happened? If I walk into a second graders and say, who wants to learn how to clean a toilet? Now I do that into a group of high schoolers or college students. I don't know. I'll put you in the toilet, whatever. It's like, you see that the participation, the willingness to dive in and learn and be passionate about it is different. We're able to get you into those states very often. And so that's a 15-minute one. So that's around mental and emotional. And by the way, if you close your eyes, you can punch through bricks. You can punch through concrete with your eyes closed. Not that you're literally doing it, but you're seeing yourself smash through concrete. And at first, when you visualize at a deep thing, you see yourself doing stuff or jogging or whatever it is, you're like, I don't feel anything. This doesn't work. But if I was in a hospital and I couldn't move, the only thing I could do is close my eyes and see myself doing it. So we extracted this from some POWs who'd been in a prisoner of war camp, and they found these really powerful ways to grow, even though they're confined. And we took it and put it in our process. It's so powerful. So that's the 15-minute one. The 30-minute one is going to be around specific things that you're doing with your body and supplements that we're having you use and take based on your genetics. We don't really just say, do this or take this or whatever. We actually have a whole product line that we have white labeled for our clients. You don't have to use this. You can use anyone. It doesn't matter. But it's like we figure out what your body is lacking and we make sure to get it in there. And it's pretty powerful because it's like, once you have all the raw materials, I mean, look at someone's body, Matt. You've seen someone 500 pounds, like bulbous, just completely just like, holy hell, they're kicking the crap out of their body and they're still going, man. It's like, how is the body still going? Dude, that guy is killing his body. Or some of these rock stars that are loaded with every drug on the planet and they're just living these crazy, like for years and years and years. Like, how do they last that long? And the answer is this body is so resilient and beautiful. And some people don't like their bodies, right? But it's like, it's a beautiful thing. And when you get those raw materials in there and you couple it with the 15 minutes that we have to prime your brain mentally and emotionally, then you couple it with the 30 minutes that we have to generate intense energy. I mean, it's really hard to have a bad week or a bad day. It's like, I just had a few bad hours today, but it didn't last. What you don't want to have is a bad week or a bad month or a bad year or a bad life. Like, you don't want that. And so it's really, to your point that you made much earlier, it's like you get ahead of it and you anticipate it along the way, the skate to the puck comment you made. And that's where it's like, that's where it becomes very, very, very powerful. And I'm just going to say one thing for all the viewers. energy is not about conserving. That's a misnomer. I have as much energy or more energy than anyone you'll ever meet. Okay. And I'm not saying that to be competitive or to be arrogant or be a cocky guy or to be a jerk. I just have it. And it's like, it's not just something I was born with because I've had it for a long time, but it's understanding a concept that you draw energy from around you and you let it go through you like a conduit. And the only piece I'm going to really share is the more you expound, the more you have. It's not about holding on and conserving and using the energy for the fourth quarter, although it feels like that. I'm just going to like, kind of like, and then I'll hit it really hard the last, part of the work day or whatever. And it's not about like, hey, I got to go to the beach all the time, so I can rest up. It's just expand it. The more you expound it, it starts to grab from other things and other sources. And you're like, and that's where you hear people say, my spirit overcame my body. Like my body was just exhausted. I couldn't go any further, but somehow I like pushed through and did a little bit more or a lot more. And you see that, like I watched this video the other day, maybe you've seen it. This guy's doing this long distance run. I don't know if it's the Olympics or something. It was some kind of really high level competition. He tears his like hamstring and he's like limp running. And his dad breaks through security because I got to get my son, you know that feeling as a dad, right? Like you're running toward your kid who's like hurt and helpless. And he gets to him, he's putting his arm around him and they go through and they finish the race. There is no way in hell. If you're a runner, there is times of running where you're just like, I don't want to do this. I can't, I don't want to finish this. You don't want to do it, but you do it, but you don't want to. And so it's not just will and desire. It's literally a deeper thing where you start drawing on energy and expounding it and just saying, it's going to be there. The energy, the universe is just going to give it to me, as I expound. Because you know how that works, right? Someone's given their all and you kind of just jump in and help them. So think of it that way, whether you see them or you don't see them, like energy and stuff's coming in and helping you as you're just like going for it, kind of thing.
Love that. Right, let's wrap this up. I feel like we could talk forever on this topic, but that's been awesome. So Jeremiah, where's the best place for people to get to you? Is it over at shoponfire.com?
Yeah, I would say shoponfire.com. And then there's contact information. I think it's 844 Man on Fire is the number we've had forever. And info at shoponfire.com. You can always reach us. And through the website, you can reach us. Sometimes we do a great job at maintaining the website. Sometimes we don't. It's just, it hasn't been a core focus of ours because most of our clients don't really use it. They kind of use apps and stuff that we have within it. But it's like, yeah, you can definitely get contact information there and that works just fine.
Well, I'll put links to all that in the show notes regardless. So if you guys out there that want to learn more and get in contact with Jeremiah and the team, then all the links will be over in the show notes at thesiteshed.com. So just make your way over there. Mate, thank you so much for this. It's been an awesome conversation. We will come back another time, listeners and viewers, and we're going to record our second episode, which is going to be more about some of the dynamics around how to really leverage what we've spoken about in this first episode. But until then, that is a wrap.
And really quickly, just at the end, if you say Matt is awesome, you text me or message me that Matt is awesome, you will get one free 30-minute session regardless of whether you sign up first. I don't know if it's already a wrap and that doesn't count, but that's in there.
It isn't wrapped yet. That's cool. All right. Well, there you go. So we'll put that in the show notes as well. Thank you very much. All right. Let's wrap this one up. Hey guys and girls, how would you like all of the value adds left behind from our podcast guest all put together in the one spot? We've pulled every tool together, every template, every resource shared on the show, and we've packed them all into the Tradie Academy. It's free to join and it's built by the team behind the Site Shed and TradieWebguys. Inside, you'll get marketing tips, business tools, and first access to future resources, all in one simple dashboard. Just head across to tradie.wiki/pod. That's tradie.wiki/pod. The link's in the episode description. And once again, you just log in once and then you're all set. And if you want to get notified of upcoming episodes, hit subscribe or follow.